The Cold War and the Red Scare were two intertwined phenomena that dominated the political and social landscape of the United States and the world from the late 1940s through the 1950s and into the early 1960s. The Cold War was a geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, characterized by ideological differences, military buildups, and proxy conflicts. The Red Scare, on the other hand, was a domestic manifestation of this global struggle, marked by intense fear of communism and the perceived threat it posed to American society. The Cold War emerged after World War II, as the United States and the Soviet Union, former wartime allies, became superpower rivals. The ideological clash between capitalism and communism fueled this rivalry. The United States adopted a policy of containment, seeking to prevent the spread of communism worldwide, while the Soviet Union aimed to expand its sphere of influence. This resulted in a nuclear arms race, regional conflicts like the Korean War and the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the division of Europe into East and West. The Red Scare, particularly the Second Red Scare in the late 1940s and early 1950s, was driven by a fear of communist infiltration in American institutions. Senator Joseph McCarthy led a campaign to root out suspected communist sympathizers in government, Hollywood, academia, and other sectors. This era saw the rise of McCarthyism, characterized by witch hunts, blacklisting, and the violation of civil liberties. The Red Scare had a profound impact on American society. It created an atmosphere of paranoia and conformity, where anyone suspected of leftist leanings could be targeted. The Hollywood 10, the Rosenberg trial, and the McCarthy hearings are infamous examples of this hysteria. The Cold War abroad. The Cold War abroad was characterized by a complex and multifaceted global struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union, which lasted from the end of World War II until the early 1990s. This geopolitical rivalry had significant implications for international relations and shaped the world in various ways. 1. Bipolarity and alliances. The Cold War led to the formation of two major military and political blocs of the Western Bloc, led by the United States and its NATO allies, and the Eastern Bloc, led by the Soviet Union and the Warsaw Pact. These alliances aimed to counterbalance each other's influence and served as the foundation for Cold War geopolitics. 2. Proxy wars. The United States and the Soviet Union often avoided direct conflict, instead engaging in proxy wars in various regions. Examples include the Korean War, Vietnam War, and Afghan War, where each superpower supported opposing factions or governments. These conflicts were hotspots in the broader Cold War struggle. 3. Arms race. The Cold War saw a relentless arms race, particularly in the development and stockpiling of nuclear weapons. The United States and the Soviet Union amassed vast arsenals of nuclear missiles, leading to the concept of mutually assured destruction, MAD, where both sides recognized that a nuclear war would result in catastrophic consequences. 4. Decolonization. The Cold War coincided with the process of decolonization, as many former colonies gained independence. Superpowers often competed for influence in these newly independent nations, leading to the concept of the Third World. Aid, economic assistance, and ideological alignment played significant roles in superpower efforts to win over these countries. 5. Space race. The Cold War also extended to space exploration, with the United States and the Soviet Union competing to achieve milestones in space technology. The launch of Sputnik by the Soviets in 1957 marked the beginning of the space race, which culminated with the US Apollo program putting a man on the moon in 1969. 6. Cuban Missile Crisis. One of the most tense moments of the Cold War occurred in 1962 when the United States discovered Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba. This standoff brought the world to the brink of nuclear war but was eventually resolved through diplomacy. The end of the Cold War and effects. The end of the Cold War marked a momentous shift in global geopolitics and had profound effects on international relations, politics, and economics. It was a complex process that unfolded over several years, culminating in the early 1990s. Here's an overview of the end of the Cold War and its effects. 1. The collapse of the Soviet Union. The Cold War effectively ended with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. A combination of internal economic troubles, political reforms under Mikhail Gorbachev, glasnost and perestroika, and popular demand for greater freedoms led to the breakup of the Soviet state into multiple independent countries. 2. Eastern European revolutions. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the beginning of the end for communism in Eastern Europe. Peaceful revolutions in countries like Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and East Germany resulted in the overthrow of communist regimes and the eventual reunification of Germany. 3. Nuclear arms reduction. With the end of the Cold War, both the United States and Russia, the successor to the Soviet Union, engaged in significant nuclear arms reduction treaties, such as the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, START, reducing the number of nuclear weapons and easing the fear of a nuclear conflict. 4. Expansion of NATO and the European Union. The end of the Cold War allowed for the expansion of Western institutions like NATO and the European Union into Eastern Europe, integrating former Warsaw Pact countries and promoting stability and cooperation. 5. Emergence of unipolarity. The United States emerged as the sole superpower in a unipolar world. This shift in power dynamics had implications for international relations, with the United States often taking a more assertive role in global affairs. 6. Ethnic conflicts. The end of the Cold War also unleashed a series of ethnic conflicts in areas previously held in check by superpower rivalry. Examples include the Yugoslav wars and the Rwandan genocide, where the absence of superpower support exacerbated tensions. 7. Economic changes. The end of the Cold War brought economic changes, particularly in the former Eastern Bloc countries. Many transitioned to market economies, which led to economic growth in some cases but also economic hardship and inequality in others. 8. Spread of democracy. The end of the Cold War saw the spread of democracy to many former communist countries and a belief in the universality of democratic values.